figure out what we can say. Oh, he's back. So anyway, like I said, Tom is amazing. He's the smartest guy I've ever met. So there you go.
Oh my goodness. Oh, you guys had a special treat.
Oh yeah. Wait till you watch the replay of this. What Jody did.
What Jody did. Oh my goodness. So what I had to do, so here's what I did. I'm using my phone as my, all right, I'm using my phone as my, my network connection, and I unplugged it in there, and I was just wondering why my network was really slow. So, because anyway.
Now you left your iPad in there.
Yeah.
You had questions on it. Now you got it back.
I got that back. Let me go to, man, it's just really slow. So here we got it. So we have we're live right now. We're live on IAEI News Live. Why don't you come on over and watch you don't trip on that cord.
Are you using the receptacle in a meeting room, are you?
So no, that's just giving me my my video to the computer, and this is so slow it's insane. So anyway, I've got with me Mr. Michael Weaver, who's on Code Panel 2.
Correct.
And we just had an interesting debate about putting in a requirement about the individual branch circuit. That was a good catch.
Yes.
And we are going to do a reject but hold on that one. But what do you think of the meeting so far?
It's going good. It's going really well. We're doing some good work. We have the AFCI issue to tackle, which is going to be a big, heavy lift for this panel to figure this out and everyone get on the same page. So.
Yeah, and we're going to have a task group. So, and I was smart of the chair. So we got into that rabbit hole, and we're like, okay, how are we going to handle this? And he sort of saved us and said, look, let's get us out to a task group. So we tabled that issue. And there's Duke. Want to go live, buddy? We're on IAEI News Live right now. So you represent NECA.
I represent NECA. I also serve on Code Panel 17 as the chair of 17. So.
Oh, we got the chair of 17. I forgot.
Yes.
That's right. So what are the big items? What do you think is going to be the big controversial items on Panel 17?
The big item we have before us this year is heating systems in concrete. Chuck Mello's got a proposal to concrete. I'm drawing a blank right now. My apologies. Concrete paving. I can't. My name's it's eluded me, but it's basically rods embedded in concrete for snow melting in the winter.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I wonder what he's got going on with that. Is he worried about grounding and bonding?
Well, he's proposing it, and the panel's probably going to be worried about grounding and bonding. So.
Yeah. I gotcha. Oh, okay. So it's a new technology to...
New technologies, new to the code.
Oh, okay.
Conductive pavement heating systems.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so we're introducing electricity into the pavement.
Oh, man. Well, don't we already do that? Don't we already do that with, like we have electricity under, like in bathrooms, under tile and stuff?
Those are with insulated mats and wires that are insulated.
Right.
These are going to be rods directly associated with the concrete.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so very interesting stuff.
Wow. So in other words, when you walk to your car, walk like this.
Or you get to the airport and the runways, there's 2 feet of snow outside, but the runway's clear as a bell for you to take off.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what is 17? What all does 17 cover?
We have appliances,
Appliances.
and we have swimming pools.
Oh, okay.
Swimming pools, and then we have
Yeah.
the 424, 425, 427 sections, heating systems, and
So you know what I always thought? 440 for HVAC.
we don't have 440.
I know, but 440 is HVAC, right? And then when you look at the requirements in what were the 3 sections you said? 3 articles. 440.
424, 425, and 427, 426.
That's your heat trace on vest. When I look at those different articles, they are so freaking similar. I don't understand why we don't combine those together. And then even when you look at 440 for HVAC, there's heat. When you think about heating
Similar
and all that,
items, yeah.
they're very similar items. And I was going to put a public input in for this cycle, didn't get it in time. to start the ball rolling to say, look, let's look at 440 and those 3 articles. And I put them all in buckets. I'll send you my spreadsheet where I looked at the parts and compared all of the parts, because there is some consistency. And when you look at the different parts and you look at the titles and you look at some of the content, it's very subtle in those 3 for vessels and pipes and stuff like that. It's very subtle, the differences, and it would not be hard to, I think, to combine those and do something with that to simplify that. But
Well, that's what we're all about, right?
absolutely, ease of use of the application. So, but
All right, well, hey, I'm gonna go to
cool.
lunch.
Go get lunch. Thank you,
Keep
sir.
up the energy.
We're gonna try. We're gonna make it happen.
See you, Tom.
See ya. All right, so I'm just gonna check, and I've got 80% frames dropped. So I'm gonna switch Wi-Fi. So bear with me, everybody. I think I'm back. Am I back? Can't see comments. View. Tools. There we go. All right, I think I'm back. There we go. Drop frames 273, but I think the drop frames are still going on. Let's try it. Restream. Doing what I can, Fred. I'm doing what I can. I am dropping frames. I'm at 16% dropped. $27,273. I'm not sure if this is working out. Social media. I'm just trying to get this all started. So we're here live, and it just so happens that they decide to 10% dropped. All right, I'm back. So I'm just trying to get, there we go. It just so happens that they decide. Okay, so I'm live. There we go. Felix. Geez, oh man, finally I get to see the notes. Felix Sandoval, David Engelhart. All right, so sorry about that. We broke a little later this time for lunch. And we broke a little later for lunch. I'll give you a little update for panel 2. So panel 2, we completed 210.8 yesterday and completed a little bit this morning on 210.8D. I'll tell you what we did with 210.8D. This is for appliances, and the struggle that's going on right now in between Article 422 and Article 210.8 is what is covered by the appliances in 422 and what is covered in 210.8 from a branch circuit perspective. The desire of the code making panel is to keep as much of that in, from a GFCI protection, keep it in the 210.8 article, keep it in the branch circuit. So the compromise that we reached for 210.8D was to have the requirement for GFCI protection in the branch circuit. The list of items, though, are driven off of Article 422. So we streamlined the requirement. We basically took the list of appliances and said, look, for the appliances that have been identified in 422, GFCI protection shall be located in the branch circuit. So we're driving the requirement for which appliances to provide GFCI protection for off of the off of 422. All right. All right, so let me know, guys. Let me know if I'm coming through, if it's consistent. Okay, so let's talk about 210. We went from 210.1 in Article 210 for branch circuits. We had some changes up front, which were just basically editorial in nature. Most of it dealing with branch circuits. What is branch circuit overcurrent protective device? Panel 10 is removing branch circuit. They're defining overcurrent protective device. And then we are taking that term, and now we have to make sure we use it correctly throughout the NEC. So, all right, it's perfect. Great, thank you. Geez, oh man. Thanks, Felix. It's just a huge delay I got going on. All right, so the next thing we did, we took 210, we went through those changes, and when we get to 210.8, some key things we added. One was recognition of the HF edition, high frequency edition, for 210.8. So we have what we did was we put it in an informational note. We took it out of the parent text. Hey, Nihad. So another person, where are you headed now?
Oh, nothing.
Come on over. So this is, we're live streaming on.
Don't interrupt your life.
Yeah, no. So I got Nihad El Sharif here. So Nihad's on the hot seat this morning. So he is doing the changes for 210.12.
Task
right?
group 2.
Task group 2. So you pick up off of 210.9
Yeah,
and moving.
so we didn't have anything on 9. So it was actually
Right.
9 and 10, but 9 and 10 had no public comments. So it started at 11, 210.11, and then worked our way to 12. And I believe now we're 210.20. I have all the way till 210.25.
210.25.
Yeah.
So he's going to all the way to 210.25, and then Alamanci will pick up.
Yeah, from 50 till the end of 210 to finish up 210. And then task group 4, Robert Osborne, what was 220, now it's 120.
Now it's 120, yeah. And he'll pick up on the load calculations.
Right.
So I was just saying that we introduced in 210.8 the HF and HF plus.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and we did it as an informational note because it's very similar to the way we do switch duty and HID. There goes Ron Borowski, panel 4. The key member on
star
panel 4
over
is
there.
just walking right by. Oh, he's pretending like he's on the phone
Yeah,
too.
just too busy, right?
Oh yeah. So making those deals, but
I know it works for him.
it works for him. So in any case, we did, just like switch duty and HID rated breakers, we put it as an informational note that says if you have a GFCI marked HF, then it is permitted to be used throughout all of this. So because we put it in a parent text, it could be used in A, B, C, D, E, or F, right?
Because it's not a separate product. It's essentially, it's like an additional requirement to a GFCI.
Yep.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Unseaming here on YouTube. Felix says, hey, good to see you too again.
Hey, Felix.
Yes, so Felix is on and David Englehart's on.
Nice. Hey, Dave.
And TSDN, yes. So that was I think there was a good discussion, and that HF is hoping to address some of the compatibility concerns with some of the high frequency stuff. So that was I think a major change. We didn't that and in the parent text. I'm trying to think of what else we changed in parent text. I don't believe there was much more. That was the major change.
210.8. No,
210.8
I
parent
guess
text.
D is the big one. 210. Have you talked about
Yeah.
D? 210.8.
So I just mentioned that in D we're going to point to the list that is in 422.5, but we're keeping the branch circuit requirement because we want to make sure we don't lose protection.
Right.
But yet not step on the toes of 422.
And like you said in your live this morning, it was like 4:30 in the morning.
It was 4:30 in the morning, yeah.
I woke up, I was like, man, Tom is already live. This
Yeah.
is crazy. It's like nobody's happy.
Yeah.
Which, like you said, did a good thing, made
Yeah,
something
yeah.
good because I know you didn't like the change. Probably panel 4 or panel, this is panel 4, 17.
17,
Panel
yeah.
17 friends won't like it, so.
Yep. And we just had, and I just had Mike
Weaver?
Mike Weaver on. He was just on.
Oh,
He
he's
is
the
chair
chair.
of panel
Yeah, chair
17.
17.
Yeah,
I was
and
like,
so
what?
for some reason I was thinking it was a different panel, but he's
No,
chair of
it's
panel
him,
17.
Yeah, so he's the one to talk to.
Yeah. So
Look who's coming from the
oh man, there's trouble with a
Here's
capital T.
trouble coming.
Yeah.
Mr. Trouble.
So we were just talking about some of the changes in 210.8 about the HF. And here's another panel 17 guy, right?
And a UL 943 guy.
Oh, and a UL 943 guy. That's scary. Come on in.
There we are.
Yeah, there you are.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
We live?
Yeah, we're live. Look, it's a delay, so I
okay,
got
got it.
Felix on and
So
Ingeborg.
anything you're going to say will be taken
That's what I was
against
going
you.
to say. You got a 7-second delay,
Yeah.
so I can say hell or damn or whatever I want.
I can't cut it out.
Oh, so
Yeah,
don't say that.
it's now on there.
Got it.
Too late,
Got
too
it.
late.
Yeah.
He's
So,
trouble. We said
I know,
that.
right?
so we added HF and HF Plus, which
Yep.
I'm not sure about HF Plus surviving, but
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, but HF I think has a very good chance of surviving.
I think so. I mean, certainly through the product standard.
Yeah.
I mean, we're we're making progress. Certainly, I know a lot of people are saying that the product standard is going to be done in February or whatever, and nobody has a crystal ball, right?
Right.
The NEC gets published every 3 years
Yep.
for a fact.
Yep.
Product standards, they get published when they're finished.
Sure.
So I don't know that we're going to have that updated version come February or March. I would love to say that we will, but I don't know that we will.
Yep.
But I think we're doing good things in 943, and I saw that you guys made some changes to allow SP GFCI Type C
Yes.
for air conditioning equipment. which
Yes.
I think is interesting. Yeah.
Yep.
You know, and I think I agree with that. I think at least for right now.
Sure,
I
yeah.
mean, there are things that are happening that we don't want happening, and we can't just close our eyes. We have to do something, and I think that's a reasonable Band-Aid fix.
I'd say
Yeah.
it's a compromise.
It is.
Because you don't want to be like, yeah, they're not compatible, just offer no protection.
you just can't have air
People still
conditioning.
live their lives.
Yeah.
Right.
So like we did a compromise on we were just talking about 210.8D. Okay, so what panel 2 did was said, look, we want it in the branch circuit.
Yeah.
But we're going to drive the list off of 422, and then 422 will maintain that list.
Yeah.
And then you guys in 422 can determine
Which appliances.
Right.
So that's an interesting one, because I think the language you guys have as of right this second, it says the GFCI protection shall be within the branch circuit, whether that's a circuit breaker or an outlet, whatever.
Correct.
And I can understand where you're going with that, certainly. I don't know how simple that is for vending machines, because they get moved a lot. Now, they have integral GFCI protection,
Sure.
right, for the product standard.
Yeah.
But if we're requiring it to be part of the branch circuit, I don't know that anybody really hires an electrician to move a vending machine.
Yeah, well, and that's
So-
why it was put in the standard.
Yeah.
See, this is
Right.
my issue. 422,
Yeah.
in my opinion,
Yeah.
422 should say, look, what do we want as part of the appliance?
Yeah.
And stick to that. The moment you start going outside of that, you get into that predicament.
That's a tough one, and I can totally see where you're coming from. To limit it to just the appliance and how it's built, really is a product safety standard issue. It's not even necessarily a code thing.
It's exactly right.
Right.
And
So we have rules in 422, important rules in 422 that tell you maximum overcurrent protection for appliances, right? Stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that is to protect appliances, and I think that's well within the scope.
Absolutely right.
So when it comes to prevention of electric shock, I still think there's the question of is it the branch circuit wiring, or is it the appliance that's causing the shock? And protecting it at the branch circuit is certainly going to solve both of those.
Yeah.
Right. So it will absolutely
for
provide
new installations.
for new installations.
Now, the
Yeah.
reason you would put it in the appliance is because, to
You
your
move it
point,
around.
you say, I might have my appliance in a house that was built in 1920.
Right.
And I still want protection. And that's the purview of that panel. And what they've done with vending machines, because they move them all over the place,
Yes.
they put it in the cord saying, look,
Yeah.
I don't care where you put this vending machine, it's causing hazards,
And
and I'm going to provide that protection.
and I don't necessarily know that actually solves the problem, because when you go and you look at vending machines, and I know the receptacle's not supposed to be behind the machine, but let's just
Sure.
live in reality for a minute. They're behind the machine.
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
And
yeah.
a lot of those shock incidents happen because people slide the vending machine
Up
up against
against
it,
the wall.
and they damage the attachment plug, and it energizes the appliance.
And that's
The
already on the
GFCI
wrong side.
And it's down, the GFCI protection
Yeah.
is downstream of that.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna solve
yeah.
the problem.
No, yeah,
So-
absolutely. Yeah, that's a very good point. So now, so if you look at the history, because I remember when that went in.
Yeah.
And then the standard changed, and then we made a requirement that the GFCI had to be readily accessible.
Right.
Everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, now I can't.
I know.
What am I going to do with the vending machines and all that?" And that's when the I call it scope creep of 422. It's like, oh well, then you could put it in the branch circuit, you can put it
Right.
here. What they should have done at that point was say, look, either you're going to require it in the appliance, or you're going to say, look, I'm not going to put anything. Put it in the branch. Go C210.
Yeah.
If you put that appliance, if you put it outside, if a vending machine's outside, the GFCI is already there because it's an outside receptacle. So you're already protected. If it's in a hallway, I mean, I could put anything in. I could put an aquarium in there. I could put an aquarium right now and then plug it into there. But the code says aquariums have to have GFCI protection, but you can't. You're not an expector. You're an inspector.
Exactly.
So you sit down and say, well, there's only so much you can do with that unless you just say
Right.
all receptacles are GFCI protected. And I don't think the panel's ready to go there.
No, certainly not.
Yeah. So
We tried that before, didn't
Right.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a tough nut to crack. And again, talking about the vending machine issue, if I do relocate a vending machine, it does have protection, which is a good
Yeah.
thing, certainly. But if we require it, absolutely require that it be in the branch circuit, then I got to hire an electrician when I move my vending machine.
that's exactly right. Right. So,
So-
but if
Yeah.
you have the requirement in the branch circuit to say, look, if you're take vending machines out of 210.8.
Yeah.
Nobody's making that motion.
Right.
If we want to take that out, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if it's a dishwasher, if it's
Right.
any of these others that are going to be in the kitchen or in the laundry or in my bedroom, I might have my washer and dryer in my bedroom.
Sure.
Things like that.
Right.
David says the AC standard needs to change to require a grounded conductor for the return path being used by the EGC. In his humble opinion,
Yeah.
like the code 404 requires for switches. I agree with that 100%.
I 100% agree,
I
but
agree as
we haven't done, no one submitted this public comment. We talked about this many
Well,
times,
I
the switch,
tried.
remember the switch?
I tried
thing?
on the task group.
Yeah.
I tried on the task group. I was shot down in the task group. I wasn't
Yeah.
just shot down. I was shot down. I was stepped on, and then they
Right.
went like this
Yeah.
and turned their back.
Right. Yeah.
I guess I was thinking maybe we just, because we talked about this, I think, a year ago or so, but we never did it, have too late now, a public comment in NEC to prevent using equipment ground conductor as a return path, because this is exactly.
That's
I think
already there.
This is the problem.
That's already in the code in 250.
But it-
Objectionable currents.
Yeah,
You're not allowed to have a
it's, but it's just
EGC.
not clear for
Kinda.
HVAC stuff.
Yeah.
Because this would solve our problem with GFCIs.
I don't think it will. They're still going to use it.
No, I mean, like, if
Well-
they're not allowed to use it, it
Yeah.
should solve the problem.
I think that would have to go through the product standard. I would think so, because you'd have to change the way the machine is
It's built,
manufactured.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we can require all the white wires in the world. If they don't change the way it's built,
Yeah.
then it's for nothing, right?
No, you're
And
absolutely
that's what happened with the switch thing. Sharp guy right there.
Watch, he doesn't
Keith
cut you.
Waters. He didn't even hear me. Keith Waters was
He's busy
Schneider.
eating, busy eating.
Got stuff to do. I'm on level 3 with him. But yeah, so the thing with the switch, when we required the grounded conductor for the switch, is we also changed the product standard.
Right.
Right, for electronic dimmers and occupancy dimmers.
Exactly right.
And it has to be both. I
It has to, yeah,
I've
you're
heard so many
absolutely right.
people refer to what we do as a three-legged stool with the code, product
Spice
safety
standards,
standards, and
inspection,
enforcement.
enforcement,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I prefer to think of it as a four-legged tool because I think a qualified workforce is absolutely essential as well.
You know what the
People
qualified
installing
work?
it-
You know what the qualified workforce is?
What's that?
The seat.
The seat.
Yes.
Why?
The seat of the stool.
Oh yeah, there you go.
There you go.
The
'cause
seat of the stool.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah, right,
because you can't sit on three little posts.
Right, exactly.
And it pulls it all together.
It pulls it all together. Exactly.
Man.
Love it.
We just
Yeah,
came
I'll
up
tell
with a
you
new
what, that was
analogy
pretty
now.
good. I had no idea what you were talking about for a minute, but yeah,
And he
that was
said
good.
the seat. Like,
I was like the seat. I thought there was a joke or something. that I
No,
was gonna
it's
say.
the
No,
seat.
that's perfect. I love
Yeah,
it.
it's the
Yeah,
seat.
yeah.
I love it.
Panel 1 right now has changed the definition of outlet.
I saw that.
It's totally broken.
It is.
That-
when I
that
read it this
cannot
morning.
continue to pass.
So
So
how?
there's panel 1 right there. We're gonna have to go grab him.
Yes.
So yeah, because that's a major problem. Receptacles are no longer an outlet. right?
Yeah.
That passes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder
so-
if there's a way to fix it. Like, could somebody reopen, make a motion to reopen
sure.
and fix it?
Yeah,
I don't know what the
still-
language, I'd have to
oh,
look
yeah.
and see how would you
So
fix
what
it?
drove this change? Because receptacles have been outlets since
You know, I'll
forever.
tell you, I know. what
Oh,
drove
so
this.
do I.
I don't.
It's all about, is the HVAC unit on the outside of the house, is the outlet in the HVAC unit, or is it in the wall? Or I've heard some people say the outlet
Yeah.
is in the panel board.
Yeah, and I would, personally, I would call those people wrong.
I know, I would too.
You know?
Yeah.
But this is, one of the things that happens is these things are so cyclical. Back in 2002, when we first added AFCIs,
Right.
99, effective date 2002, we said it had to be for the receptacles in the bedrooms. Everybody knows what a receptacle is, and
Sure.
What a
I
bedroom
think
is,
we
yeah.
pretty much know what a bedroom is, right?
Pretty much.
Then it moved and it said, okay, all outlets in the bedroom. And
Yeah.
then everybody's like, wait, what's an outlet? Is the
Oh,
lighting
yeah,
outlet,
yeah,
is the
yeah, yeah,
luminaire an
yeah, yeah.
outlet? Well, yeah, it's a lighting outlet.
Correct.
Was the smoke alarm? Yes. And
Yep.
then they said, okay, but what if I have a light switch? Because I have an exterior walkout door to my patio or something for my bedroom.
Right.
If the switch is in the bedroom, is that an outlet? And the answer was no.
Right.
The lighting outlet is the outlet. The switch is not where the current is taken
For
to
utilization
supply
equipment.
utilization equipment.
That's exactly
right.
right, 'cause-
So we're having this same argument 20 years later.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Because now, again, because you get turnover in the code making panel. You have different people. You
Different
have
people,
different points of view.
Interpretations
or
are different.
interpretations. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so often we'll have the same argument 20 years later, and that's exactly what's happening right now.
And you know, sometimes I think, like I was standing on panel too, we get new people.
Yeah.
Right? And you get new people and someone raises their hand and says, wait a second, you can't do this because of this. And you go,
Yeah.
you know what? About 4 cycles ago, we had
Right.
that same
Yes,
argument.
exactly.
And then you
Now-
go back in time.
Now, sometimes they're right, though.
Oh, yeah, you're
Sometimes
absolutely right.
it requires that new set of eyes to
Absolutely.
point out something and say, hey, that is not what it says, and it never has.
You're
And then
absolutely
everybody
right.
can freeze and say, oops, the new guy knows what he's talking about.
That's absolutely.
Then the old guys don't want to change.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
it's
the
been
new
that way
guy-
for 100
the
years.
new guy
and
is
everybody
right,
knows,
but the old guys don't want to change.
So in other words, I've been wrong for 100 years.
Right.
I'm not
And
about
I'm,
to admit
I'm
that.
so wrong. I'm right now.
I'll continue
Right.
to be wrong.
That's exactly right.
You're absolutely
I'm
right.
considered the new guy in this panel, so I'm
Right.
still the new guy.
Oh my goodness.
I
yeah.
have the new guy status, I think
Yeah.
still.
Right.
Maybe not this cycle, we have a whole bunch
yeah.
of new members, but.
Yeah.
That's a challenge, but it is. I think it just makes the document better because we
Yeah.
have different eyes to look through it. I mean, you know, and there's some stuff that I had put in, and I knew it was new material. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to get it on the slate.
Yep.
And hopefully they do a reject but hold because they say it's new material. But sometimes they'll do a reject, and then I look at the statement.
And you got to remember.
What did
yeah.
they say for the statement?
Yeah.
Because if they rejected it, that means, okay, Tom, you're so off base. Here's why.
Yeah.
And then either they're right and I'm wrong,
Yeah.
or I go, wait, I have to improve my language.
Yeah.
You know.
And like I said, we just had our first reject but hold.
Oh, okay.
Just like
Oh,
this, yeah. The
so
first
here was
ever.
the issue.
This,
So-
yeah.
Okay.
So the
Interesting one.
requirement was for a receptacle, an individual branch circuit, a receptacle on an individual branch circuit. You know how it says it shall not be less than the rating of the branch circuit?
Equal the branch circuit.
Right.
No, it says it shall not be less than
Okay.
the rating
A
of the branch
single
circuit.
receptacle.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So
This one,
now,
our proposal is-
Yeah.
so the proposal was to say it must be equal to the rating of the branch circuit.
Oh,
Yeah.
And so
well,
go ahead.
okay. Well, that's a problem because if I've got a 40 amp range
That's
and I'm
what-
putting a 50 amp receptacle on it,
So that's
is
what we
that
talked
what
about.
happened?
This is the,
Yeah.
So that's what we're
this is
talking
that
about. But
problem.
here's the issue.
Yeah.
We have in the electric vehicles that when they're plugging in,
Yeah.
we're seeing a lot of these receptacles fail
Yep.
with that connection. They're melting,
Yep.
right? And the thought process is you're taking that 40 amp, it's a continuous load.
Yes.
You're exceeding the rating of not only the receptacle and plug, but also of the circuit breaker,
Yeah.
right?
Well, so people, I think it's a multi-headed monster, but I think a lot of it comes from improper application of the code to begin with, because what you'll have is a 48 amp charger, and people will put it on a 50 amp circuit breaker with a 50 amp receptacle and 50 ampere wire. But like you said, it's a continuous load. That thing needs to be on a 60 amp circuit
Exactly.
with 60 amp wire and a 60 amp receptacle.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely right.
and yeah, This is your
area
world
of
here, yeah.
expertise and world.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
what, just
Oh,
step
yeah.
away
I
from
see
that.
that,
Thank
yeah.
you. And we're live right now.
Oh, you're live.
Yep.
Oh,
Yes.
excellent. Well,
Yep. If you,
whatever.
if you're not afraid of sharing your opinion
Not afraid
online,
of
so-
sharing
so
my
let's squeeze in
opinion.
here.
Well,
we're
okay.
live with IEI News Live.
Yep.
Wow. So what?
Come on in. Come on in.
Come
We
on
want to
in.
get you on camera.
I'm Bryce.
Evidence.
With the EV Charging for All Coalition.
Okay.
And this is one of those cases where a certain market leader did it right at the start and then nobody followed. Because Tesla, they sell a modular plug, and each plug codes the amperage.
Okay.
Also, you can't exceed the rating of the plug.
Yeah, it's no little dip
Oh,
switch,
I
it's no little
understand.
setting. It's what if it comes with a NEC 620,
Yeah.
it's limited to 80% of
Yeah.
20 amps.
Right.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Yeah.
The only problem is that damn 1450 that might be on a 40 amp circuit because it was wired for a range or a dryer.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
there's your problem.
Right.
So
Well, and there's been misinformation put out by people, and I'm not gonna say names or anything, but I've seen official position papers from inspectors and inspectors' bosses
Sure.
saying it is not a continuous load, and here's why, and you don't have to do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And when you put that on paper and you distribute it to the masses,
no,
Oh,
no.
yeah.
it's a problem.
It is
And
completely.
it's a real problem. This one, this is a real,
Well,
this
'cause
isn't just a weird.
we're
little code
actually
thing.
seeing
There's
it now.
failures.
Yeah, we're
there are
seeing
failures.
evidence, we're seeing the failures, and so what was interesting was Frank Say, my alternate, saw that public comment. He's like, you know what? Not for the reasons that the substantiation, but I like this for other reasons. So we said, you know what? We supported the public comment. So the original reject, but the reject failed, and then we said, okay, let's do a reject but see, and put this language in, and then I think it was Nika, Mike Weaver,
Yeah.
and DJ were like, well, hold on, what about ranges? We do this every day of the week, and
Every
that's
day.
perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So then we wanted to rewrite it as an exception, to say, when an individual branch circuit serves an EV charger.
Yeah.
Right, but then Robert Osborne says, well, wait a second,
Yeah.
that might be new material.
Could be
So-
new material and probably not something to come up with off the cuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sometimes it's better to just take a step back and say, you know
Yes.
what? Let's talk about it, go through the whole process,
Yeah.
have the public review.
So what we're gonna end up doing, and Robert said he would support it, and I think we can get a few other panels, because everybody recognizes the problem,
Right.
we may do a TIA. Now, a TIA has a higher threshold,
Yes.
and it'll go through that review process, it'll go through the public review process, and we can do it for the 2023 code
Yeah.
and for
That's
the
true.
2026.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I think, unlike a lot of the TIAs that are happening right now, unlike a lot of them, this is an emergency.
Yeah, exactly
This
right.
really is
It
an
really
emergency,
is.
and
Yeah.
it does need to be addressed. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
So-
is 100% a continuous load, and it will not work on a dryer circuit, which was fine
Yeah.
at that continuous load. But when we get to power control systems, suddenly it flips, because continuous load is just a proxy for heat.
Sure.
Yeah, that's right.
Sure.
If I've got a heat sensor or I've got a timer, then I don't need that. So I think I should be okay charging an EV for 30 minutes at the higher amperage.
Right.
Sure.
Or if I've got a heat sensor, as Tesla does in the J3400 connector, or I might have in my EVSE plug, well, maybe I can do that.
Right.
Because my system, because it's just a proxy for something else, but what if I can measure the something?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
you're absolutely
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's where, when it's something as nuanced as a relatively new technology, I mean, I know electric vehicles are older than gas cars, I know that,
Yeah.
but you know, a relatively new technology.
Yeah.
When you try to capture all of those little subtleties in the code, that's not something you want to just do in a little quick meeting and off the cuff.
Sure.
You know, that's
Oh,
where-
yeah, yeah.
indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was, we were like trying to say, hey, you know what?
Yeah, because
Let's
they're
make it
struggling with the
happen.
reject but see. Okay, so reject but see, what's the language? And everyone's looking like,
I know, right? I know.
don't
Well,
have
the
a language.
Well, the language was in the public comment. So
Oh, yeah,
that's
but-
what we initially started.
But this is where the problem was, because now
Yeah.
it's gonna be like the dryer issue with the 40, 50 amperage.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're gonna have an exception, right? An exception, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Tesla's connector, which was again done way before everybody else's, has a thermal sensor right here.
Really? Wow. I had no
I
idea.
did not know
That's
that.
interesting.
Yeah, and it's been copied at the low end some of the Chinese manufacturers who are doing these, the basic EVSE that comes free with your car, they have a thermal sensor. It's
Okay.
12K NTC thermistor. I've changed them, I've taken them apart, they're there, and they do exactly that.
Yeah.
That's
And
cool.
because they had too many melted outlets, just the, your regular wall outlet isn't a great choice for EV charging.
Right,
Because
right,
it's a builder grade outlet or whatever. And
sure.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's
So
it's an
CMP
interesting
12.
discussion.
And Article 625 touches a lot of this too, and it, I believe, overrides 210.
It has the ability to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's
Yeah.
going to be on the menu starting tomorrow with some of
Yeah.
these same issues.
I saw that. Oh, I saw that on, there's a gentleman, not you, there's another gentleman who is, also has public comments in, oh, he's looking at the reverse power feed.
Yeah, it's
That's
what he's looking
That's
at.
Acom of Gizmo Power.
Gizmo,
So
yes.
he's interested in the solar carport and things that 627 should cover but aren't actually vehicles.
Yeah.
They're the same thing, but not a
Yeah.
vehicle. Think of it like a battery-powered trailer.
Right.
It's not self-propelled.
So I looked at his public, so here's my thing. He wanted to change the definition, and the way the definition reads, it says, it says that a self-propelled electric vehicle can be blah, 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 and if it says, I think it says for example, or similar to.
Yes.
So, and it has a few items in the list. Well, just because you don't have one of those additional items doesn't mean that it's not already covered.
No. We could fix this with parentheses. Another parentheses argument, but if
But
it's
it's
a
already in
thing
there.
such, no, because self-propelled. His vehicles aren't self-propelled. Give you an example.
Oh.
I'll give you an example. I've got a camping trailer,
Yeah,
and I buy a Ford F-150 so I can pull my big heavy camping trailer.
it's not self-propelled.
Now I want an electric boost camping trailer
Oh,
that
I
I
see.
can pull with my economy car.
Right.
I get it
It's
now.
not self-propelled.
And it would not, still not be covered, it's not covered.
Exactly.
Man, see that?
Yeah.
See?
This is good stuff.
Something else they did, I think, in the first draft in 625 that I was a big fan of, is they took out the language about the listed system of personnel protection in 625. Because it used to say electric vehicle supply equipment has to have this listed personnel protection system. And a lot of people thought that that was a GFCI. And would therefore remove
yeah.
the requirements for GFCI protection because it's already there and it's
Right.
not a GFCI. So they took it out in, I'm almost certain they took it out in the first draft, and hopefully it stays out because it's part of the product. We didn't need it in the code anyway, and it's
all part of the
really
standard.
causing confusion.
And as long as you have a requirement that it shall be listed,
Right,
then you're good.
exactly.
Because there was another area of the code where they said, oh, we can remove this because it's a part of the product and the standard, but there was no requirement that it had to be listed, so you said, well, you gotta keep it in until you put that in.
Right.
I'm always going to raise my hand for the real world, not your
Yeah.
code world.
Okay.
In the real world, when I go and inspect, I find the cheapest damn charger bought on Amazon.
Yeah.
And if it has a UL sticker, it's frickin' fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yet, going through all the death records and verifying with the Eaton representative and Square D representative who've been through the weeds of the electrical, we can't find an EVSE related shock incident. Worldwide. Verified with Australia, none. Maybe there'll be one.
Sure.
Well,
And it'll
hopefully
probably-
not.
Hopefully it'll-
And hopefully if
That's
we
what I was
did our
gonna say.
job
Right.
It'll
and
probably-
we have the GFCI protection in place, you won't
And I
have
would
one, and we
argue-
can say
It is a
success.
chicken egg
Yeah,
argument.
but I would argue that this is our
Oh,
job
yeah.
to prevent
Yeah.
the shock incident,
Right.
not to
We
wait
know
until
the
it
electric
happens.
hazard, we
Right.
know what the electric hazard is.
Yeah.
And if we're gonna sit and say, let's wait for someone to get killed and then we'll make a change, then it's not the right way,
That's
in my
it's a
opinion.
slippery slope.
As
It
you know,
is.
I'm with you for this connector,
Yeah.
needs GFCI, because if I go to pull it out,
You know what I, here's, you know what I
not with
really
you,
like?
I'm not with you for hardwire.
So guys, I got a split.
No,
So,
don't,
great,
listen, just walk away, don't split,
I'm-
I don't
I'm
wanna
good.
see it.
Okay. You'll be like thinking like osmosis. Is that splitting?
That's, no,
No,
osmosis
that's
is not.
not splitting.
Yeah, no, just go.
All right. You know what, that's what it is.
This-
That's
this
what
is
it
above my
I'm just
pay
gonna,
grade. I
I'm
know
just,
what
you
you're
know what, I'm just gonna leave.
You're just gonna,
just
hey,
gonna-
thank you for
You're
joining in on
Yeah,
IAEI
Thank
News
you.
Live.
Great
Good to
chatting
see
with
you.
Yeah, for sure.
Great chatting.
Good meeting you.
Yeah.
Everybody out
All
there,
right, guys.
We just lost Brian.
Ryan. Ryan. What was your name again?
What was my name?
Mr. Jackson.
Brian?
Ryan.
Ryan. Oh, wait,
I
that's
was waiting.
Ryan.
I got him to come back.
I'm
Excellent.
almost Brian since I'm Bryce.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So, okay. So you had some public comments in on, was it panel 2? Yeah. You had it was the reverse.
2 and
No.
12, and so yeah, I want the status quo, which is that hardwired EVSE
Yeah.
handle their own personnel protection, and that branch circuit, like many other branch circuits in the house, has no special requirement. You
Yep.
could put in a GFCI or an ASA if you want,
Yep.
but there's no requirement for it, for a variety of reasons, including that if that upstream GFCI or AFCI ever trips, my device has gone dead. It
Gotcha.
can't communicate, it can't retry,
Yep.
it can't diagnose the problem and call for repair.
Yep.
Right now, the EVSE is allowed to retry in the case of a transient. So that lets somebody release, go to the
So
hospital.
almost like a recloser.
It's like a recloser.
Yeah,
Like a recloser. Okay.
So if you're arguing that I'm electrocuting people, no,
I didn't say that.
I'm only
I
electrocuting
didn't say
dead
that.
bodies.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
I'm sorry, getting too
Yeah, we're getting too gory.
getting too gory,
Yeah.
but-
No, but
No, but it's got to retry, and I want the same thing for
Gotcha.
sumps. So if I've got a sump, I've got a couple of safety problems to handle. What am I flooding? What mold am I creating?
right.
So electrical safety is important, but if I've got an electrical fault, I like to take a little breather, let the personnel get out of there, run an alarm, whatever,
Yep.
and then reclose and try again. And maybe I don't try as hard the second time, or
Right.
whatever,
Right.
but I want a listing appropriate to whatever sumps should be to balance their function as a sump against that electrical safety issue.
Gotcha.
Same for EVSE.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So you put some public inputs for panel 2, and you're doing something similar in 425 or 625?
Right, but that'll only cover EVSE.
Only for EVSE. Okay.
And
Yeah.
pipe organs.
Oh, jeez. And pipe organs.
Article 650.
You know what? There was the pipe organ guy who was on there actually got, I think it was in the first draft, a diagram of a pipe organ.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they removed it in the second draft. Yeah, and it was not this cycle. It was in the past. But he was.
Was he serious about that, or that was just to demonstrate?
I don't. You know what? I wasn't on the panel, but I heard some people thought it was funny that they had a diagram of a pipe organ to demonstrate what it is. But
I have the weirdest set of experience. It includes repairing pipe organs.
really, what's that?
Well, it needed a pipe organ. It needed to be fixed.
Oh my god.
I have a friend who's an organist,
Okay.
and another friend who's an electrical engineer who plays with pipe organs.
Really?
So all the little parts, the Wurlitzer, the original.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
heard
Yeah.
Wurlitzer?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have all these great things. Like they have this little water bubbler. So when the air from the pipe organ comes in, you fill the little thing with water, and it makes this like bubbling sound.
Really?
So a key on your pipe organ is bubble
Bubbles.
sound.
Bubbles.
And you've got cymbals and
But what
monkeys.
part of a pipe organ is electric?
Oh, there's electric all over there. So you've got a big blower,
Okay. Oh.
and you've got keys, and they're electric, and they're either digital or sensitive, but it ultimately runs a relay.
Okay.
But you want to argue why it shouldn't be in the NEC?
Why?
I can argue that too.
What's that?
Because they're required by Article 650 to be 30 volts DC.
Oh, really? So it's 30 volts DC?
So
It's
why
below
is-
the shock threshold.
So why is the NEC even involved? All you need to say is it has to have an isolated power supply at 30 volts DC, and I think the code says that somewhere else.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
So I think we're done.
I look forward to your public input.
Oh, to delete Article 650?
Yeah.
No. The pipe organ guy will.
The pipe organ guy would hurt you. It's like, I need a reason to be here. That's hilarious. But no, that is a challenge. That's a challenge. I never read the article because I've never dealt with a pipe organ.
I'm
but
not
I-
familiar with it. I have no idea what
in my
it is.
mind, I'm thinking, well, it's air, and what would be electric about it? But to your point, there's a blower in there, but it's all low voltage, so it'd be a low voltage wiring.
Well, the control's
Power
all low
limited,
voltage. The
probably.
blower itself is probably running on 120, but that's just a fan. We deal with that elsewhere in the code.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. So you're going to be here through all next week? Where are
No,
you?
I'm not.
Oh.
I'm from Berkeley, California.
Berkeley. Okay. Okay.
So now I'm going back. I can only donate so much time to.
All right, so Berkeley, California, and you work for the EV Charging for All Coalition?
EV Charging for All Coalition is a citizen group that was founded to recognize the difference between how easy it is to charge at home
Okay.
if you own a house, but if you're a renter, you're pretty much screwed. So
Okay.
if you decide to get an EV and you're a renter, your options are very limited.
You have to park at a mall and just go shopping for 2 hours.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
Find
yeah.
a
Place,
A local charger.
restaurant or
charger
something.
or do play musical cars.
So you're trying to solve that problem
Right, through the building code,
through the building codes and
and we've
the,
had some success with California's building code there.
yeah, yeah.
And then avoid extra GFCI requirements.
Oh, I
sneaking
see,
into-
okay.
There's a
okay.
connection.
Yeah, that's where we wrestle in the mud, but that's okay.
Yeah.
We all have our opinions.
But I do more. I do field inspections, so I've inspected thousands of apartments.
Ah, okay.
And I advise apartment groups on what they should do strategically for safety
Yeah,
and energy.
yeah.
And so I'm looking to old buildings, so I can't go in and say, oh, just upgrade it to the latest NEC.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
that's hundreds of thousands of dollars. So they're not doing
Yeah,
that.
you guys do, even like on NFPA, so I sit on NFPA 73 for existing dwelling units.
Yeah.
There's gotta be a realization that you can't take an existing structure and try to bring it up and mandate it to be brought up because it's a big change in
Oh, God. You don't know.
infrastructure.
The way I got into that is with legalizing of illegally built units.
Okay,
And my jurisdiction says, oh, no problem, you can legalize that unit that was built in 1950. All you have to do is bring it up to today's code.
yeah, wow, yeah, that's
no.
tough.
It's easier said than done.
Easier said than that. I had a jurisdiction that said, okay, we got the sewer pipe, and we cannot find a record that it was inspected in 1952.
Wow,
There's no record. You need to X-ray the concrete, because that pipe might have been installed wrong in 1952.
wow.
Oh, this when it was first built.
When it was
And
first
they have
built.
no
Wow,
idea who
that's
inspected
that's
it, or
incredible.
even it was ever inspected.
I'll even admit that maybe it wasn't inspected.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't say
yeah.
that, but let's just
Yeah.
assume it wasn't
So it was
inspected.
before our time. So.
It's flushed for 70 years.
It's flushed for 70 years, yeah.
When is that more important?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. So it's existing structures, existing dwelling units, existing commercial buildings presents a huge challenge for the industry.
And existing unpermitted units brings this additional layer of complexity on top.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially if you move into, like, you take say a city, a location, a jurisdiction that has never had inspections, and now you're going to enforce inspections.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And that can be challenging.
I just had to comply with the zoning requirement for a whole row of buildings.
Yeah.
A row of apartment buildings built 3 feet from the property line. Well, when they introduced zoning about 20 years after the buildings were built, they set a 15-foot setback.
Oh,
So my building is now legally non-compliant.
legally non-compliant.
But this was
But-
like grandfather, right? Because it was built before.
Yeah, but now I needed to alter the facade of the building.
All Coalition, if you want to find out more about Mr. Bryce,
Bryce
Nesbitt.
and I'm just a volunteer for the
a
coalition.
volunteer for the Coalition, doing his duty and,
Yeah, yeah. In our vision,
participating.
you can come home as an apartment resident, and every parking spot for every V, you just plug right in, just like you do
Yeah.
at home. It can be a nice slow charger. Doesn't have to be 40 amp. Doesn't even have to be 30 amp, because you're probably going to be home for 10 hours.
yeah, yeah.
What's happening now, and partially driven by this very electric code, is the apartment owner will install an EV charger in the corner of the lot.
Okay,
You know, it's a 50 amp charge point or something. You put your credit card in.
sure.
That's great for the first person with the EV, because that's their reserve parking spot.
Oh.
When you
Yeah,
get your second EV driver, now you got to share, you got to move your car, and we're in California. The national audience doesn't know this, but we have this thing called the duck curve. So during the middle of the day, we're producing too much electricity from solar,
right.
and so electric prices go to zero. And then right when the sun goes down at 3 or 4 p.m., demand goes up, solar production goes down, and we hit peak rates.
Ah, okay.
So if you're an apartment, if you're a home dweller, you plug in
Yeah,
and you set your timer to start charging at 9 p.m. or midnight
yep,
or 3 p.m. You know, when there's
sure.
electric rates are good, but if you're an apartment dweller that has to share that single charger in the corner,
Yeah,
You don't have that luxury.
you're paying peak rates because you come home at 6, pay peak rates until you have to move your car at 9. If you don't move your car, you pay idle fees.
Oh, that's smart. That makes people get out of there so somebody else can get in.
It does, but EV Charging for All says that's not the way to do it.
Oh, okay.
It's cheap enough to get everybody their own charging head.
Ah,
It costs $120 for a basic EV
charger, yeah,
using number 12 wire
yeah,
on a NEMA 20 amp circuit.
yeah,
It'll give you 18 amps of charging,
sure,
the 80% rule,
yep.
and that'll do your daily drivers.
That's pretty
But
cool.
only if you have your own
Yeah,
head. If you have to share it, then it's the wrong speed.
yeah. Well, I like it. I like it.
So that'll come up tomorrow at CMP 12.
There we go.
ERV square.
We're going to be stuck in panel
Panel
2.
two.
We probably won't get done with panel 2 until late Thursday, I think.
Yeah, by the way it's looking, yeah. I thought I would be done today, but it's just ain't gonna happen.
No, it's not going to happen.
Task
So,
two is not done today.
And I'll give you one more reason that breakers and apartments match.
Yeah.
So California's new buildings will have a direct to meter requirement, and we
Okay.
can do it in retrofit. That means your parking spot 20 to apartment 20 is connected to the meter for 20.
okay,
That's fine, simplifies billing,
sure.
plug in, go. Vehicle to grid.
Yeah.
If I've got it at my home, I can sell electricity from 4 to 6 p.m.
Right.
from my EV. If I've got direct to meter in my apartment, then I get to do the same thing as a renter.
Ah.
But there's no bidirectional GFCI for me to use.
Yeah, that's the discussion that we had on panel 2 and on bidirectional. We resolved that because we need a standard change to be able to make that product. So that's, I think, the challenge. We have to go to UL 943 and come up with some language to be able to create the test program for the performance evaluation of a bidirectional GFCI.
Absolutely, you totally need a bidirectional GFCI to be there. Remember, you don't need it on a hardwire EVC at all.
Oh, I think we're going to need to get a mud pit and
mud
have a
pit,
wrestle.
I think so too.
That's so good. It's so good. But yeah, so that's so we had a good 2 days, I think. Well, day and a half so
Day and a
far
half, yeah.
on panel 2.
Still have
We still have time to go. It's 12:58. And so what I'm going to do now is I think we're going to be coming back from break pretty soon.
Yeah, so 1:15, I think.
Is
we
it
have to be
1:15?
back.
So I'm going to have to close up shop and
Take down the setup.
Mr. Nesbitt, thank you for joining IAEI News Live. And
Okay.
if you're not an IAEI member, we need to get you a part of the IAEI group family.
Okay, we'll
so.
talk about that when we exchange cards after the mud pit.
Absolutely, I love it.
So I'll be refereeing this.
Yes, and you'll be refereeing.
But I'm out.
Thank you,
guys
sir.
around.
Good luck. Good luck on the code. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining in, and hopefully we had a good discussion. Hopefully you got something out of it. You learned a little bit of a perspective on the electric vehicles, reverse power feed through breakers, different options about providing EV for as many people as we can out there, charging opportunities. So, and this guy's got work to do for the rest of the day, and we are going
And
to get
tomorrow.
back in queue. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for what you do for the electrical industry. Thanks for what you do for electrical safety. And remember to stay safe and please.
Stay healthy. Absolutely. Thank you.
I gotta figure out how to do it. Hold on.
I think we're
There
still
it
live.
is.
We're still live.
We're still live. There it goes.
Okay. Not live anymore, I guess, I hope.